What's happening, Wargamers? Welcome to the Meditations, where we discuss the events of the prior game and share our hot potato takes. For anyone jumping in, let's all congratulate Jason on that one. That was a great win on his part. Taking it in two struggles, no less.
Yeah, I mean, going into this off camera, we talked a few times. Like, dice were just not on my side this game. I was having characters go down really early. I was really worried about the potential, snowball on your end of my characters are going to feel really bad for the rest of this game. But, between where the scenarios ended up being and getting mildly lucky on rolling which ones mattered, I was just kind of able to maintain the pressure on those points.
Right?
Yeah.
You kept focus, and that really mattered a lot, which is great. And it really goes to show how important movement is. And the different things that you can do here. Like, I ignored the Clan Crees Mandos for much of the game after
you flipped them super early. Yeah, they kind of were left to their own devices for the rest of it.
And in reality, maybe I shouldn't have. And so so even though I had this just assault on all the sensibilities with Dooku and the Magna Guard. I mean, Maul activated when he needed to, got work done. Asajj got work done. Your Mandos kept doing pressure. I was probably a little blinded by going into Bo-Katan, to be honest.
Yeah, fair.
But you know what? My being blinded is not a fault on your part. You kept focused.
Well, and I think one of the big differences this game, like, despite the fact that my dice were very much not here today, I still had every model in the game. Like, even at the end where we're like, Gar doesn't really matter anymore because he was way back over on this tree.
Showed me how wrong I was.
Like, I was under the impression he wasn't going to matter much the rest of this game either. But he did, and even in the first struggle, he mattered a bunch by being on that tree.
He did, yeah.
So, every single model on my team kind of pulled their weight here, whereas on the Galactic Republic and Separatist Alliance side here, you kind of just had these three deadweight models for a lot of the game.
Right, and that was unfortunate. I was kind of banking on being able to get a struggle over here somewhere, and it never happened for me, unfortunately.
That entire second struggle, I mean, you got kind of screwed over by what popped up, because this tree, we established very early, Gar was not coming down. You had very few ways of getting him off there.
And there was no way to fit two guys in here.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's a very important aspect here, right?
So, when you get those options of, this side has more bodies for you, and, most of your others were over here.
You friggin' hot-gated me, man.
Exactly.
You Spartaned me, and that was terrible for me.
No, it was really, I think that's what this came down to, was even though my dice were atrocious this game, they wouldn't show up anywhere. The scenario just kind of favored me as, no matter what you did, you were kind of screwed on that second choice.
Yeah, and I think what I probably could have done, I probably overcommitted onto this point.
Maybe a little, yeah.
It might have been good for me to maybe send a Mango Guard over there.
Yep.
Possibly. Ahsoka didn't really do a whole lot for me. Maybe Ahsoka should have run over that way as well and helped out Anakin.
Hang out with Anakin.
Because, Dooku and the Magna Guard were just, oh my goodness, they were awful.
Yeah,
and I mean that in the best way.
Oh no, they were disgusting. I mean, it was the Magna Guards who, was it still Struggle 1? I think very early in Struggle 1 just said Clan Crees Mandalorians no more.
Yep. You mean on their first act?
I'm pretty sure it was their first act.
Because Dooku went first, brought everyone up here, and then they just activated oh look, it's a Mando.
Yeah. And the Mandos, honestly, all of the Mandos on my side of the table just kind of crumbled like paper this game.
But you know what? They were always where they needed to be.
Yeah. Positioning-wise, they were always able to stay relevant on the scenario. They were getting injured, and, towards the end, I was definitely feeling the lack of the jetpacks, them costing 2. I was out of force for most of the second struggle. But, the amount of mobility they have with Gar and Bo-Katan both giving them free moves, kind of like what Rex does for when you're running a lot of clones, which is what I ran last time.
Mm-hmm.
That much positioning just allows them to really stick on those objectives no matter how many times you keep punching them.
Yeah, no, for sure. And they just kept coming back again and again and again. And that was one reason why I was so focused on getting rid of Bo, right? Getting rid of one of those Pride of the Mandalores.
For sure.
And just shutting down your movement a little bit, because it gave me a little bit of breathing room. Unfortunately, it gave me the breathing room in the wrong... Not really where I needed it, right? Because, I think you're absolutely right. Having Rex in the 501st just kind of stuck over here. Yeah. I gambled, and it didn't pay off for me.
Well, imagine if you had 3 extra bodies on this side of the board.
Or even just in the middle.
or even in the middle of the early game. Well, and that was the other thing going into the early game here was like just that ability, that versatility of having the jetpacks and being able to jump on and off the terrain like that.
Oh yeah,
Was very, very influential for that first struggle because you had more bodies than I did on this middle point. They were just on the wrong elevation.
Yep. Dooku was stuck on the bottom elevation for like pretty much after you knocked me off that elevation. I never walked back up it, right?
Yeah.
And it was big, and it just goes to show how important elevation actually plays into this one as well. Because I think that was one reason I kept ignoring the Mandalorian that was over here.
Yep.
He was on the wrong elevation, so what do I care?
And
right?
for that matter, that's the entire reason why Gar hung onto this tree, right? Like, if that objective had been down here, then it doesn't matter that Gar's sitting in the tree because you don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let's talk about the fact that we played 2 struggles and we both reached the end of our deck twice.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's the most I've done.
I think
far.
the first, 3 or 4 turns of Struggle 2, we didn't go past 2 on either side of the struggle.
And I was feeling kind of confident. I thought I was in a really good position.
I was terrified.
Yeah, like I thought I was going to take Struggle 2 a couple times there, and then like we're looking, it's like, wait a minute, there's a path to victory there for Gar. Like, oh
yeah,
nice.
well that was the off-camera moment of like, okay, so Gar is going to jump this guy down, which means I'm even here. If Gar has any way of getting to this point, that's game. And my immediate thought was, I'm going to jetpack or something. But no, I was out of force because, like I said, I was out of force for most of the struggle. So it came down to, does he have a jump or a shove on his attack? And turns out he jumps if he gets 2.
Yeah. And here's the real kicker of it all. Like a slightly better roll from Anakin would have been enough to save my bacon, right?
Yeah.
If I'd gotten 1 more success.
2 more because we realized, oh no, that's the exposed thing from earlier.
Yeah, he wasn't exposed. It was
Mango guards.
The Mango Guard.
Yep.
The Mango Guard.
Mango
was exposed,
Guard.
Yeah. The Mango Guard. If Anakin had gotten 1 more success, it would have been a different game because I would have gotten like, what was it? I think like 2 successes and
now actually looking at this again though, I am realizing that 2 expertise on Gar, which I only had 1 here, but 2 expertise on Gar also gives a shove, or is that a dash or a shove?
That's a shove, I think.
It's a shove,
Weird.
I believe as well. So like, I don't think a single shove brings Anakin off this point.
It might. It's close.
Oh shoot!
It might.
I think he's barely in.
Oh yeah, from the overhead it kind of looks like he is.
Yeah.
But still, tools. You had a lot of tools at your advantage there.
Like it was really, really close.
It was.
Like had that turn not been what it was for me, you're coming back up at full force and your momentum was so high at that point that
I just needed to if we'd stopped you there, I had already shuffled here. I would have gotten Dooku, which I mean
probably means that point is yours.
Yeah. Let's be honest. Dooku's kind of been going beast mode this game.
Yeah,
and Maul only had 3 health left. Dooku would have taken that point back, and that actually ended up being the important one as well for the next one if it actually happened,
so
right?
You'd be bringing it back down to 0. You'd have Maul or Dooku on a point that's hard to remove. There's definitely still a game there.
There is. Like Asajj could activate and do some work over there.
Yeah.
Your Clan Kreese could activate, do some work over there.
And I'd finally have Force again.
Yeah, you would definitely not be out of the record there. Actually, if anything, I'd probably want Anakin to activate, so I'd probably reserve and nah. Although Ahsoka could probably get over there with all the Force I had and everything.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it just goes to show how important your positioning and.
Oh yeah.
So actually, there's one more thing I want to actually discuss before we're going to wrap this up. Let's talk about the Force, for instance.
Yeah.
I played a list. I had 8 Force. I had all the Force in the world to play around with, and you were constantly running on empty.
I was running empty this entire time, and I think that was slightly offset because of how much Maul doesn't care.
Yep.
Because Maul being able to just take damage and place a Force is a big deal. That said, it was the same as last time when I was playing clones. Like, you started dazing these Mandalorians, and the jetpack just stopped being worth it. Because 2 Force is a third of my Force, and Asajj by herself wants to be spending 3 or 4 most turns.
Yeah.
So, like, I was Force-starved most of this game, and once you started dazing characters, it was even harder. I mean, that would have been a guaranteed play at the end if I had 2 Force kicking around for Gar. Because the jetpack would have been no longer reliant on dealing damage to you.
So I think also the point that I wanted to bring up with the Force, though, is that as powerful as the Force and the abilities are,
yeah,
you can still win
Oh yeah.
Right? Like even if you're like always running on empty and whatnot, and it just comes down to the good use of the force,
Yeah.
right? Whether or not I was using good use of force, I don't know. I couldn't tell you, right?
Yeah.
I honestly don't know. I did get the refresh once with Dooku's ability,
Yep.
which was kind of cool, which brought me. I think I before I shuffled back up, I had 3 force remaining, which was a good chunk.
And I think Dooku ended up chunking, I think, 6 or more of
Dooku's a
your
tank,
force this
man.
time. And to be clear, looking at him right now, he's got 4 damage on him at the end of the game. So that 6 that you chunked has kept him in the game.
And that's also because I chose to take 2 damage, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Dooku's a friggin' tank. He's tough to shift.
He's brutal to take down, but one thing that I do find is if you want him to be a tank, you are burning your force fast.
You are. But I mean, granted, you also have the ability that if any other primaries or secondaries go down, you're refreshing that force as well.
Yep.
So if you're playing a little bit more aggressive with your other characters,
Yep.
Someone I could have really used in this game would have been Django.
Yep.
Django would have helped me immensely.
Yep.
Because he would have had his restraint cables to pull. I think they're called restraint cables.
I'm not sure.
But he could have like been pulling people off of points as well, and that would have been a big deal for me. But
yeah,
and that's the thing. I didn't really have a lot of control. You had some really good control elements. You made really good uses of your shoves.
Yeah, and I think Asajj was huge because this was my first time playing with someone who actually has a force push, and Asajj's force push just did so much work for me this game. It pushed Anakin off the point. I kept Ahsoka back near the end.
Yeah, I mean you only did it twice, but both times were monumental.
Yeah, both times were worth a lot of points, and yeah, I think Asajj is actually I've decided she's a very fun piece to play. I will definitely be trying her again.
I think she's a tricky piece to play well, but when she starts popping off, it feels good. Right?
The big issue with her I'm finding is she is extremely force hungry. So if you're not taking out those primary units with her to refresh it, you're gonna feel her force drain.
You kind of want her to be like your 3rd or 4th activation.
Yeah.
Right, to get her and maybe like take someone out. Well, anyway, yeah, great game, man. Had a lot of fun. You got a very well-deserved win on this one. So very, very happy to see that there. And yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do another one of these at some point soon.
Definitely.
Maybe you'll have some of your own stuff painted up by then. Always looking forward to that, yeah. And yeah, so for everyone else watching, hope you guys enjoyed. Hit up the comments below, join the conversation. And of course, if you're looking to support the channel, patreon.com/AegisBrandStudios. We'll see you next time. Happy wargaming.